Hi there, good afternoon. My name is Jake Thomas, sitting here at the Compass 110 Fifth Avenue office in downtown Manhattan. I'm a real estate broker, of course, with Compass, as you guys know. Today I'm going to be talking to you about something a little different. There's no glamour, there's no super scenery, big house to show off or anything like that. But more so, I want to talk to you about reasons and whys. Things that are important to me and what I find not just important in life, but important in business too. Principles, values, commitments, honor, integrity, courage, and a lot of these things that I think I hold dear and maybe exude a little bit too, I've been lucky enough to also find here at Compass. So when I first got to Compass, which is only a few months ago, beginning of the year, I'd come from another shop. I'd been there for the past few years. It's where I learned to cut my teeth in the business. And I was the new guy on the street, the new kid on the block. Knew a few people, had some friends here, but really didn't know anyone else. And on that very first day, I met the guy who was sitting just behind me. And I'd actually asked him for a little bit of help on something with the software because I was totally foreign to it. And we worked on this little problem together and figured some things out, and then I quickly learned who he was, and man, saw a lot of great things about this guy. Besides that, he went to Stanford, besides that he's from Texas, besides that he went to the Wharton School, he held a lot of the same principles and values close to his heart that I do. And I think it's really cool to be able to see, somewhat of a reflection of yourself in other people. And you can see how they are, how they carry themselves, and what it does for them as individuals, and also what it does for them in their work. And this guy's been in the business for a few generations, and he's got some of the biggest numbers in the shop and nationwide, and is my friend, and maybe unfortunately for him that he sits next to me, Jim Farah.
I have to say, Jake, that I've never imagined or had this experience that someone else who's an agent would be so kind, want me to be part of their marketing, because it's such a competitive business. And the psychology for most agents is, I'm competing with you, I'm not collaborating with you, unless you're part of the same team. It's a little intimidating to have you introduce me. I think what's interesting about this idea you had is that it reflects your interest in helping other people. Your lack of competitive fear that a lot of agents have. That, I've got to take care of myself. So I thank you for your kindness. I think the secret to success in our business is whether we can establish true relationships with our business partners, our clients. And I think this is a reflection of how you are building rapport yourself. I grew up in West Texas, in El Paso, and I learned that you call a blonde person, a guy especially, a güero. So there's no one else at Compass who calls you güero. But I love the desert, and I love Texas, and I have a daughter and granddaughter who still live there. And I have another daughter and granddaughter, but they live overseas. And so I define myself first as a grandfather. And then I guess second would be real estate agent, because I've been doing this since 1991. I started out at a different firm. I was there for a long time, and this thing called Compass started, and I really was intrigued by it. And I haven't looked back from the point in time that I started nearly 8 years ago to today, where the company is the #1 transaction agency in the country. It's just amazing. What we've established as friends is exactly the kind of relationship building that I think differentiates agents from other agents. But that's one of the reasons we are both at Compass, because the support that we get beyond our own ability to figure out technology the support we get is amazing, like no other experience I've ever had.
So, you're talking about eight years that you've had here, right? going from 7 people or 50 people to, close to 30,000 people. That's a lot of growth in a short amount of time. Like, a lot has taken place, and you've probably seen all of it.
I think that my attitude about Compass is reflected in the retreat last year, where Robert Refkin, the CEO, and his wife were taking pictures with other agents. And I snuck up behind them and said hello to Robert. He said to me, "Can you believe this?" And I said, "Don't stop thinking about big ideas. Please keep doing what you're doing, because this is a big idea. It didn't exist. And we've created together a company that is outstanding. And there's a humanity that's part of this culture. There isn't a question you can't ask. There's the management thrives on feedback and tries to correct anything that needs correcting. And I think it's a great culture.
When I was kind of going over things before speaking with Jim, I was going over some of my own core principles and values: leading from the front, being a man for others, principles, values first, relationships before transactions, customers in all directions. And then a big thing that people compliment him on is that he always gives time to people and shares his time, that he's generous with his time, and how important that is. And to me, like, sharing time with Jim, this is one of the top guys in the business, one of the top people, and not just in the building, but in the country, in the company. And he sits right next to me, or I sit right next to him. And I remember going home the first day after I kind of stalked you a little bit and gathered my own intelligence, and I was like, I'm sitting next to this guy. It was an affirmation to me of like, I guess I'm doing something okay, right? I hope I'm doing something okay. I hope this isn't just coincidence. And so I keep leaning into these things, the things I preach, the things I talk about, the things I market about, and hamper on. And maybe some of you are like, oh God, enough of the good talk and wholeheartedness. But it's true. I believe it. I live it. And seeing and being with people like Jim, to me, is a living example of like believing in that and how it comes to fruition.